Yo, what up, a-holes? Thank you for tuning in to the Holistic A-Hole podcast. My name is Eric Levi, and I'm the Holistic A-Hole, the mommy blogger with balls, the inconvenient truth of health, and a certified holistic nutritional therapy practitioner. Hope you're all doing great. Hope you're having a great week, day, month. Yo, here's a great thing. I'm still here, baby. Ain't been canceled. Cancel culture is alive and well, and they're breathing down the a-holes back. Not really. But, man, can you believe what's going on with this stuff? The cancel culture? I gotta say, man, if there's just one gross thing about the power of the internet, it's the fact that the power has been taken by a bunch of nobodies who feel so empty inside that the only way that they can feel any sense of significance is to try to take other people down. And man, it really bothers me to my core. You know, I don't think this is ever going to be a problem for me, but I see it happening to people I know in the comedy world. And it's just disgusting. It's disgusting that people do this, you know. People work their entire lives to achieve something, you know, to have a goal, to have something you strive for, to have something that you literally put every ounce of effort you have. You know, you obsess over it, you think about it, you work at it, you suck at it, you bomb. That's the thing about comedy, too, that people don't understand is you bomb in front of people. You bomb in real time. And for most people, the scariest thing that they could possibly do is get up in front of people with a prepared speech or a prepared discussion. And then the hardest part about being a comedian is not only do you have to take a half-baked idea, but you have to make it so perfect that people understand it and laugh at it. Otherwise, you know, the worst thing that happens is people don't laugh at you. And that's what you want. That's not what you want. But my point is that we have to stop this cancel culture stuff. We have to stop it. You have to find some kind of meaning, some kind of significance, some kind of drive in your life that makes it so you don't think about this stuff, that makes it so that you can just be happy when other people get things, and that in a way maybe even empowers you. You know, a rising tide lifts all boats. When are people going to realize that if somebody gets something, accomplishes something, that doesn't mean that it's a knock on you. It doesn't mean that it's a threat to you. What it means is that you have an even better opportunity to rise above where you're at now. This little rant has nothing to do with today's podcast, but it's just kind of what's going on, or has been going on for the last week, and I can't keep my eyes off it. And maybe I should. Maybe I'm part of the problem. Maybe I shouldn't pay attention. I haven't been active discussing it on social media, but it truly bothers me to my core that with all of this amazing technology, with all of the advantages of things like social media, and the fact that you can be your own business, that you can create YouTube videos and podcasts, and you can self-publish books, and you can truly have an influence in people's lives, that most of the people use that technology to bring other people down. And that's not what we're about here at the Holistic A-Hole podcast. Yeah, we get a little raunchy, we get a little raw, but what this is about is helping people. It's about looking at your fellow neighbor and taking the onus off you and using your effort, using your strength, using your knowledge to lift those around you up. Lift you up where we belong. Okay, I'm done. Today on the podcast, I have an amazing guest. Her name is Amy Zeal. Amy's a good friend of mine. She's a health coach. She's a fitness champion, and she's got a lot of great insight into helping people stay healthy. I highly recommend checking her out on her Instagram or on her Facebook. She posts a lot of really awesome content. She's definitely an inspiration. So be sure, maybe during the interview, after the interview, you hit up Amy, tell her what you think, and if you want to work with her, I highly recommend. She's got a lot of great insight into the health game. So with no further ado, please, or thank you for listening. Oh, and I should say this. If it's your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. go on Apple Podcasts or iTunes, leave a nice review. It helps me, it helps the podcast. And also follow me on all the social mediums. You can find me on Instagram at Holistic A-Hole, Twitter at Holistic A-Hole. Go subscribe to my Holistic A-Hole YouTube page. There's a lot of great content that's new and more that's coming in the video format. And be sure to share the podcast with all the people that you love and truly care about and who you're not trying to bring down. So with no further ado, everybody, please welcome my good friend, Amy Zeal. Okay, and we are live. Amy Zeal on the Holistic A-Hole podcast. Amy, thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Amy is the 2016 Musclemania Miss Bikini America winner. She's a health coach, and she's just an all-around badass. Amy, why don't you take a second and just kind of tell the A-holes out there a little bit about yourself, your approach to health, and anything interesting that we should know.
Well, I'm originally from New Jersey, and I live in Las Vegas right now. I'm an online personal trainer, so I'm able to work with women and men. I primarily work with women in getting themselves fit, in shape, feeling good about themselves right from their own home. Everything is done online now, and it's really a wonderful, convenient way for people that are super busy to be able to take care of themselves, take care of their bodies, put fitness first, and I really support them in their process. I began working in gyms in like 2003. I was a personal trainer at New York Sports Club, and I worked in New York Sports Club for about 5 or 6 years. Then I moved out to West Hollywood, and I worked at Crunch Fitness, where I did a lot of group fitness training, and that's where I started doing my fitness competitions. I had a mentor there. Her name was Madonna Grimes, who was encouraging me to do fitness competitions. And the reason why I got into fitness competitions was because, you know, even though I was a personal trainer in gyms, I struggled just like everybody else with my weight. I was a yo-yo dieter. I used to binge eat. I used to emotionally eat. I wasn't healthy in the way that I would choose to lose weight. And I just said to myself, you know, I'm teaching people to be healthy. I really need to be healthy myself. I really need to learn how to do this properly. So I hired a team of guys to take me through my first fitness competition so I could learn how to eat properly and work out properly and do it right for longevity. And that kind of started my fitness competition journeys. I've done 7 fitness competitions. I won the International Musclemania competition a couple years ago. I did another competition that I won. So that's, in a summary, my fitness journey. I don't know, when I'm coaching clients, I really, you know, we work the nutritional aspect, and then we also work the workout aspect. It's a dual, they work together. And, you know, there's no one set diet that I have, because I believe diets don't work. Every individual is very specific and unique, and their diet, not their diet, their nutrition plan and their workout routine has to be tailored to them specifically. So when I'm working with people, it's very specified and very unique to the person, what we do.
So when you work with people and, you know, they know that you're a fitness competition champion, do you think people might feel a little intimidated by that? Or do you think that kind of like gets them excited? Do they want a little bit of your juice, a little bit of your secret sauce? Or are they just like, just help me get off the couch and just be a little healthier?
I think it gives people the confidence in me, knowing that because I know what I'm doing, I'm able to guide them accordingly. And it's not like I'm just some Joe Schmo off the street who's like, okay, we're going to do this workout routine. I'm going to get you motivated. Let's go. You know, it's really more than that. I would hope that I'm not intimidating. I would hope that, you know, it's more of an inspirational, encouraging kind of platform that I'm coming from. But, you know, a lot of people struggle. And the thing with me is I struggled. So I'm a regular, normal person who struggled with the very things that most people with weight problems or, I don't want to say psychological problems, but maybe it's depression or maybe it's emotional eating or maybe it's something along those lines. I've gone through those things. I'm a normal, regular person that I went through that and I overcame it. So I have a solution that could possibly potentially work for you. So I really stress that when I'm working with my clients and I let them know, hey, I've been there and this is what I did. And if I can pull myself out of it, you can pull yourself out of it too.
So when you're working with clients, I mean, now that you're working with them online, and you're working with mostly women, what do you find to be the biggest challenge for you to help them reach their fitness goals?
It's a mental struggle. It's really what's going on between the years. And it's a lot of repetition. It's a lot of sometimes saying things over and over and over again. A lot of people are really busy with life, and it's about getting through into their brains the understanding that you got to make fitness a priority. Because if fitness is not a priority, which it's not a priority to a lot of people, it's like kind of 2, 3, 4 down on the list, it's hard to get people to change their ways unless they're really motivated to do it. So, I really try and work with people who are really motivated because changing behavior is a bit of a struggle. It's not that easy to just change behavior overnight. It takes work. It takes discipline. It takes, doing things over and over and over again. Sometimes the same things, doing them over and over and over again. And, I'm like the little, person sitting on your shoulder, tapping in your ear. Hey, did you work out today? Hey, did you meal prep today? Did you get this in today? Because, a mother who has like 3 kids, soccer practice, works a job, sometimes the last thing she wants to hear is, did you go to the gym? Because she's like, when am I going to find time? But it's about making those small pockets of time in your day, not necessarily going to the gym, but just, if you have to like get in your living room and do like 50 jumping jacks, a couple times a day, just learning how to get it in there. That's probably the biggest thing that I see my clients having a hurdle overcoming is getting it in.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny because, I work with people online as well. And it really is, like coming from the world where we come from, we're inundated. We're always getting information about health, like I'm always reading a book about health or an article about health. Most health coaches I know, surround themselves with healthy information, but we forget while we're over here in this little health coaching land that over in regular people world, they are dealing with all this regular people world life stuff like soccer practice and the kids and getting the kids to school and making dinners and all this stuff that, sometimes we'll say something like, hey, look, you gotta take it easy on the carbs. But what we don't realize is that in their life, when they're driving from work to pick up the kids to soccer practice, sometimes all you got is a bag of crackers and you have to just kind of do that. And it's very hard to get people out of that habit.
It's getting them to change their habits. It's getting them to change their routine. It's getting them to change their planning. It's if we fail to prepare, we're preparing to fail, and it's just those little small changes. Like, okay, instead of the crackers, you get a little bag of almonds. But that little bag of almonds means I got to go food shopping and I got to remember to buy the almonds. And who knows, if you have 3 kids, when the next time you're going to go food shopping is. And if you're not in the habit or discipline of buying certain foods, then you got to stop and think about it. It's about the stopping and the thinking about what you're doing,
Right.
and that's a big part of my job is to make you as the client stop and think. Okay, what do I eat now? First, just mindlessly eating whatever is available. What am I going to cook right now? how much sleep am I going to attempt to get? Am I going to put my sneakers in my car? So, when I've got extra 10 minutes and I'm waiting for the kids to come out of school, I can walk around the block or something. It sounds crazy, but there's small little things that can be, factored into your day that you ordinarily wouldn't do that really make a difference. And,
Yeah.
those are the suggestions that I make to my clients to help them improve upon what's already going on.
Yeah, that's such an interesting idea because I know when I first started just trying to get into health myself, it was like those little things that created momentum for me, where it was like one of those things where it was like I could take the elevator or I could take the stairs,
Mm-hmm.
I
Exactly.
could I could
Yep.
I could drive, 3 blocks to go to the grocery store, or I can just walk the 3 blocks to go to the
Yep.
grocery store. And
Mm-hmm.
and people don't realize that it is like those little just changes that they add up eventually.
Yeah, they really do. Parking a little further away at the supermarket so you walk to your car. I mean, they're small little changes, but they really make a difference. Just like you said, having the almonds instead of the crackers. You're having protein and healthy fat versus crackers. That's going to make a difference in your next meal because you're not going to spike your blood up. If you have those crackers, you have the extra carbs, you have the extra sugar, it's going to affect your next meal, and it's also going to affect your stomach and your calories.
Yeah.
Those small little changes really make a difference, especially when they add up.
Yeah, I find, and I didn't even think about this before I even got into health coaching and working with people, but the grocery store is really intimidating to people.
Yeah.
I worked with several people, and I'm just over here like telling them like, oh, we got to get these nutrients from food, and you got to buy, leafy greens and good quality
Yeah.
meat and all this stuff,
Yeah.
and they would come back to me and they would go, I went to the grocery store and I tried to buy the stuff you said, but I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't bring myself to buy these things. One lady was like crying to me. She was like, I went to the grocery store and just was overcome with so much anxiety that I left because I just didn't know what to buy. And and I know, like, for me, that reminds me of like when I was a single dude and I had a long-term girlfriend for a while, and I just kind of got in that habit of her just cooking everything for me. And then when we
Yeah.
broke up, I didn't even know what I ate. I had no idea what I ate. So I'd go to the grocery store and it would piss me off because I'm like, what do I buy? I just had like
Right.
12 boxes of cereal for the week. I was
Yeah.
like, that's all we're gonna do is
Yeah.
cereal. And
It's because that.
but I do get it. I do get it from people where they're like we say like, okay, well let's replace that bag of crackers for a bag of almonds. But for people, they'll look at that bag of almonds, they'll be like, I'm gonna eat this? Are you serious? And then they don't know what else to eat. They're like, okay, well I got the almonds now. What do I do for the 3 meals a day or whatever? And they have no idea how to cook this stuff. So I think being a health coach is really more than just kind of like being perched up saying, eat this, eat that, don't eat but it's like you said, it's like really kind of like empathizing with where they're at in life and literally coaching them meal to meal or hour to hour
Yeah.
through the day.
No, it's true. It's true. It's that support that's really needed because it is overwhelming. It's the food shopping, the meal prep, the what do I buy, the how do I cook this, the when do I go to the gym, the what do I wear, to how do I get this in, to what am I going to do with the kids. So it's about working with someone and getting them balance and helping them feel good about what they're doing and, not finding themselves in an all or nothing situation because everything is so overwhelming that they just decide to do nothing because that happens too. People get so overwhelmed because there's such an abundance to think about that they end up not doing anything at all. And that's not good either. It's about finding that happy medium and that balance. And that's really, where coaching comes into play. It's because we were there and we went through that. So we're going to tell you what we did to overcome those, speed bumps.
So exactly. Yeah. It really is like putting yourself kind of in their shoes and working within their schedule and, managing their expectations, because there is, I think, like that dopamine hit when you hire a health coach, or when you say you have that moment where you say, enough's enough. I'm not going to be fat anymore, or I'm not going to be tired anymore, or I'm not going to be, I'm not going to have low confidence anymore. I'm going to change my life. I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to eat the right foods. And you convince yourself you're going to do it. But then, like, when you actually try to put the wheels to the road, it's like, it's like riding a bike for the first time. It's like
Yeah.
you're falling over, and then
Hmm.
you either say, I'm frustrated, you throw the bike in the weeds and you walk off, you never ride it again, or you
Yeah.
just keep getting on and get until finally it's like, okay, now I've kind of have the foods I like, and I'm losing a little weight, and I
Yeah.
don't feel tired at 3 in the afternoon. So, and
Hmm.
I think that's really where the coach comes in for sure.
Yeah. It's sticking with it, and a coach helps you stick with it, during those times where you feel like you want to throw in the towel. That's where people drop off. Or, another problem I come up with is, people think, I just find it so interesting sometimes, people will hire me to tell them what to do, but then they'll turn around and they'll tell me what they think they should do. And it's, well, my job is to tell you what to do because that's why you hired me. It's not you telling me what you think you should do, because what you think you should do got you the results that you have. So that's
Right.
clearly not working. And sometimes it's hard for people to see that. It's hard for people to see that their way is not working. And it's, gently breaking through that and, saying, hey, you have to like really listen to what I'm telling you. I'm trying to guide you properly. That Red Bull is really, really bad for you and is not in line with your fitness goals. So I highly suggest you don't drink it. But it's so good, but it gives me energy and blah, blah, blah. Okay, you can drink it, but, you just wasted your whole workout, by drinking that. Like you're working against yourself, and you don't want people working against themselves. You want them, getting results. It's about getting the results. That's why we're here to help you with that.
Right. Because people feel that from the Red Bull, like they get the jolt of energy and they're like, "Oh, now I can do all the other stuff now." And they don't understand like the long-term effects of it, where, if you drink the Red Bull, you're also drinking all that sugar, you're drinking this
Yeah.
carbonated, phosphoric acid, and
Hmm.
all the things that come in a can of Red Bull. Not to mention you're throwing your circadian rhythm out of whack, your adrenal glands out of whack. But like you said, they're like, but it helps me feel good. Like I need, like, people have some of the weirdest eating habits. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And
I
you
have weird eating habits.
we all have weird eating habits, but sometimes like people will take their eating habit. Like I had a lady one time who she would eat every single day a turkey sandwich with what is it? One, not Wonder Bread, multigrain
Hmm.
bread and mayonnaise and like whatever, lettuce and tomatoes or whatever. And, I would be like, I mean, that's not like a terrible thing, but like we could
Right.
do better. And she was non-negotiable, would not eat that every single day.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, like you said, if if you hire a health coach and you decide you want to get healthy and do the healthy things, you can't keep doing the stuff you've already determined doesn't work for you in the first place.
Right.
But you can't
Right.
but it's very difficult to jar somebody out of that because they just don't put it together.
Yeah. Yeah. People are very routine, and people, especially people right before they're really ready to get healthy, they're very comfortable in their ways and they're set in their ways. And, something usually has to jar them or rock them in order to get them to change their ways. And even when they're jarred and they're rocked, you know, they still don't change their ways. And that's where, health concerns and disease comes into play. And, really not good things can happen when you're overweight and your body is not in shape the way it should be and operating at its, peak performance level. we're built to be healthy. We weren't built to, be overweight. And that's just something that society has, kind of thrown on our human race. And, with commercials and fast food and, sugar-laden products, and this tastes so good, and reach for the candy. And, that stuff doesn't naturally come from nature. And if it, when I did my first fitness competition, I did the paleo diet. And the rule was, if you can't pick it off a bush or kill it with a spear, you don't eat it. Because that's basically where we came from and what our body recognizes. Our body doesn't recognize those chemicals. Our body doesn't recognize, the crap that is in quote unquote food, which is not really food. I don't really know what to call it, that, we put in our system, but our body doesn't like it. And it's very apparent our body doesn't like it, because you can look around at society and you see people walking around and they don't look like they're happy.
Right. Yeah. That's like, that is such a important thing you said, that's why I like the paleo diet, but I also don't like the paleo diet. Like I think the principles of it are, I think are things that we should be knowing from when we're little, like we should know that food is not things that come in packages. Food are things that, like you said, you can grow it on a tree, or you can spear it, right? You can kill it, you can eat it. But it's like, it's confusing to people though, because when you walk through the grocery store, I call the middle aisles the diabetes aisles, because that's where all the diabetes is, right? Like the good stuff's on the periphery, and then all the diabetes is right there in the middle. And when you walk down the aisles, it's like the manufacturers of those foods, they know what they're doing. They have psychologists on payroll who design their packaging so that it jumps out at you. So when you're walking with your kid through those stores, they see like a bright color box of cereal and they go, that's the food I want. And people, this is the other thing too that has really changed my mindset really like in the last year even, which is to go from looking at like on the nutrition facts label, the calories and the fat and the sugar, even though the sugar is very important, to actually looking at the ingredients. And I'm really starting to kind of implement this in my own life, where it's like, if it has more than 5 ingredients, don't touch it, or if it has ingredients with words that you can't pronounce, don't touch it,
Exactly.
Don't worry about the calories. Don't worry about the fat. Don't even worry about the carbs. Just worry about the ingredients. Because if you can start to naturalize your diet to, like you said, the things that the human body actually recognizes as food, I mean, you might just lose weight just off of that alone.
You will. And, unfortunately in our society, my mom didn't know. My mom didn't know that, because I don't know if when my parents grew up, they had the proper nutrition classes that they have now. And I still am not sure that nutrition classes in school, really properly prepare you to eat properly. Like my mom would just give, me and my sister fruit roll-ups, or those wrinkles, or those, fruit bites, or, cereal. I mean, I grew up on cereal, like the sugary cereal, It would be my bedtime snack. My bedtime snack would be a bowl of like Raisin Bran or like Corn Pops. And then my mom would be wondering why I'm not going to sleep, because I just had a bowl of sugar and now I'm wired and I can't go to sleep. But our parents just didn't know any better. There has to be a way. There's so much information online now. It's good that, the fitness industry has grown to the level and magnitude that it has, but it still doesn't mean that everybody's educated. Right. And that's why it's really important to, set the example. And, I love that you're doing these podcasts, because, if people listen to, the right information, it might get them to make better decisions. And, better decisions equals better nutrition, and better nutrition equals better thoughts and better feelings and just a better quality of life. But it really all comes back to nutrition.
It really does. I mean, it's so amazing just the progress that we've made in this industry. And I shouldn't even say we, I'm just kind of fairly new in the industry, but I mean, people have been, I couldn't imagine what it was like trying to be a health coach like 25 years ago. I don't even know if that existed, or like a nutritionist or whatever, because to try to convince somebody, to eat something like saturated fat when all they've been hearing is how bad saturated fat is, it's going to kill you, it's going to be heart disease,
Right.
you know, or convince somebody that, a bowl of cereal, a fat-free bowl of cereal was worse for you than like an egg, I mean, it must have been impossible because we just didn't know. People for a long time were like, well, it's got high fructose corn syrup, but it doesn't have fat. So it's definitely better. And,
Yeah.
as we've been living with this for, I mean, what, 30, 40, 50 years, and people just are more fatter, more sicker,
Yeah.
more incapable of just living a fulfilling life. And a lot of it's because of nutrition. It's now
It's
is the
true.
time where people do need, I mean, I see these people all the time. It's like people do need somebody to literally coach them through how to find the right foods, because there's just too much information out there and so much of it is
Yeah.
terrible.
It's misinformation. I also think too, though, that because of science and technology, that a lot of the choices that are out now, we didn't have as many choices maybe 20 years ago. And I'm really not sure that they had the science to know. Like, I mean, there's sprays that they put on potato chips to make you eat more potato chips. That's why you can go through a bag of potato chips or Doritos or something like that and still never be satisfied, because there's chemicals on there that trick your taste buds into thinking, oh, I'm still hungry. Because
Right.
you would never see somebody be sitting there eating multiple bananas like, oh, I'm going to have a bag of bananas or a bunch of bananas right now. You have one banana and you're satisfied. Why? Because the nutrients that are in the banana that your body was asking for, because that's what the signal of hunger is. The signal of hunger is your body saying, hey, I need potassium, I need some vitamin A, I need some E, I need some iron, I need some whatever. I mean, it doesn't break it down, but it's saying I'm hungry, I need nutrients. So if you feed your body with something that's nutritious, you're only going to need the nutrition provided by the food, and once you're satisfied, you're done. But
Yeah.
there's no nutrition in potato chips. There's no nutrition in a bag of pretzels. There's no nutrition in fruit roll-ups. That's why you continue to keep eating and eating and eating, because there's nothing good in it. And that's why people get fat too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're overfed and we're starving to death.
Yeah.
We have
Yep.
just
Hmm.
food going in, and it's got the nutritional equivalency of like paint chips and cardboard. It's
Yeah.
like
100%.
we're getting, and that's why I tell people it's like calories, let go of calories, like just let go of that, because it doesn't matter. You could
Right.
have 1,000 calories, well,
Mhm.
it's bad, but you could have 200 calories of just empty, just nothing, or you could have 200 calories that are full of vitamins, minerals, essential, amino acids and essential fatty acids,
Mhm.
and you'll feel full, or very satiated off of 200 to 300 calories of really good nutrition versus even 1,000 calories of just garbage.
Yep.
So it doesn't, it
100%.
doesn't, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It's like if you eat 1,000 calories of good quality stuff, you're not going to
Yeah.
gain weight. If you eat
No.
500 calories of just cardboard, diabetes, fruit roll-ups, you're going to gain weight. So,
Yeah.
and a lot of it too that people don't realize is fat is actually it's a storage organ. So fat, a lot of the reason we have it is to basically keep toxins out of the blood.
Right.
A lot of the purpose of fat is just to hold on to toxins. So a lot of people are
Right.
fat only because their body is overburdened with toxins for, I mean, whatever reason, sometimes it's
Yeah.
just, you don't have the right antioxidants or whatever. But,
Mm-hmm.
but if you just get rid of the artificial crap in your life, in your
Right.
diet, sometimes that alone,
Exactly.
you'll just lose weight.
Yeah. 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 Our body has a way of protecting itself, and especially the fat protects the vital organs. So you're 100% right that the toxins go into the fat, so the toxins don't go into the organs. And
Yep.
if you were to simply just remove the crap that you're putting into your body, then there's essentially not a need for as much fat. So you would organically just lose weight. You're so right. It's just sad. It's sad how society has, shifted, and how much, people just don't know. Like I mean, I ask people, one of the first questions I ask, especially if somebody's on a weight loss program, because you were saying calories don't matter, I ask them about their macros. I say, do you count your macros? And 9 times out of 10, I get, what's a macro? And I immediately know if you're not counting macros, either the health coach you had or, whatever instruction you're under is not right. And, you're probably not getting the efficient results that I could get you if we did count macros, because that to me is everything. That's like the secret sauce in when I'm training clients, is counting macros.
So that's a thing that I don't really understand well. Like, I kind of get the theory behind it, but maybe you can kind of explain like what does that mean to count your macros, and how does it apply to your style of helping people?
Okay, so a macro are grams of protein, grams of carbohydrates, grams of fat, and then I also count grams of sugar. So generally speaking, based on your height and based on your weight, you're going to have a certain amount of calories that you do have in a day. Like, in order to lose weight, you need to be putting less in your body than you're eating. And then or you need to be burning off more calories than you put in your body. But what you put in your body and the composition makes a difference. So, for example, if I am trying to put muscle on my body, okay, I'm like 120 pounds, I will have somewhere close to 120 grams of protein a day. I have my healthy fat is usually around, now everybody's numbers are different. Just because I'm giving you these numbers doesn't mean that these are the numbers that you use. These are my numbers.
Right.
So I'm just using them as an example.
I'm not trying to take your numbers. You've got your numbers.
No.
I don't want your numbers, Amy. You have your numbers. Those are your numbers. I have my numbers. You have your numbers.
I don't want to falsely lead somebody to believe that there's just a standard number that you're supposed to have and everybody uses the same numbers. Everybody's different. So
I gotcha.
For me, it's 120 grams of protein. For healthy fat, I have somewhere between 60 to 80 grams. Then for carbs, I'll have between 50 and 60 or 70. That's when I'm putting muscle on. Now, when I start to cut, if I want to cut the fat out, I drop my carbs down to 50 carbs a day. And that's, even for me, is relatively low, because different people have different body composition and, different genetics. I am a person, I generally do better with more carbohydrates. So mentally and energetic wise, my carb intake a little on the higher level, maybe around the 70 to 80 mark. I'm happy and I'm satisfied. But if I'm looking to cut weight and if I'm looking to shed fat off of my body, I will drop my carbs down to about 50, and that will enable my body to go into ketosis, which is a fat burning mode, which I use the fat on my body for energy, and I end up burning it off more efficiently. So now I only know this because I have played with my numbers, and I've had to, it was a process figuring that out. I didn't just have these, it was like, okay, I'm going to have 100, grams of protein. I'll have, maybe like 90 carbs today, or maybe I'll drop it down to 30. Like I had to play with the numbers to figure out what works most efficiently for me. Any person you see that's in really good shape, they're counting. They're counting something. They're counting ounces. They're counting calories. They're counting macros. They're counting so you can measure, because if you can measure it, that means you can understand the formula that you're doing is either working or it's not working, because that's going to get you the results, either positive or negative, and that's going to tell you which direction that you need to be moving in. If you can't measure it, you can't measure results, and if you can't measure results, you have no idea what you're doing. So it's really important to understand what's going in your body, counting calories, counting macros, counting grams of sugar, like counting all of it. So that's basically what a macro is.
Gotcha. So, kind of coming back to your style of coaching. So do you, when you're counting all of these, are you using like an app to keep track of that, or how do people keep track of that?
I have them. MyFitnessPal is the app that I prefer. There's other apps out there, but I like MyFitnessPal because it's really easy to use. It puts all your grams of protein and your grams of fat for the day in a nice little pie chart for you, and then it'll break it down into a graph, or like a normal chart. So it's all laid out for me, but by the end of the day, after I plugged in what I ate, what I drank, it even has a feature on it where if the specific food you're eating is not in the app, you could take a picture of the barcode and it'll automatically download into the app your nutrition for that food. So, I mean, it's a wonderful counting tool. And then at the end of the day, I could say, okay, send me your numbers, send me your pie graph, send me your chart, and then I can look at and I can see, very specifically how they did, if they hit their numbers, if they didn't hit their numbers, where they fell short and why it happened. And then we can discuss it. And then I say, okay, tomorrow you're going to do this or you're going to do that, based on what you did today. And it's really, anytime that we make ourselves accountable for logging or writing it down, it's amazing what we think we do and then what we actually do, how different they are. Even me, I think I'm having a certain amount of grams of protein and whatever, but when I actually start logging it, I'm off. I'm not as accurate as I think I am in my brain. Right. So, and that's what a lot of people come to find. They don't really know what they're doing until they start writing it down and logging it.
So, one big kind of thing I've gone back and forth on for the last couple of years is protein. And,
mm-hmm.
You're saying that you're a fan of or you're a believer in like the gram of protein per pound of body weight thing.
Yeah.
And I've heard of this. So I've kind of played between both camps of high protein, and low protein. So, when you say like a pound of or a gram of protein per pound of body weight, how do you find people do it that, or how it kind of affects your own body composition? Do you find that's like a thing that adds more bulk? Does that take the place of maybe like excess carbs? Because I'm really torn on the protein thing.
Well, it doesn't work for everybody, because it really depends on the person's fitness goals. And like I said, it also depends upon genetics too, because they're like me personally, I'm just a person who I do better with a little more carbohydrates in my diet. Not everybody, and because of certain medical reasons and maybe some medications people might be on, it's not good for people to have really high amounts of protein. So it's about figuring out what the proper balance and ratio of protein to carbohydrates to fat is per person. That's why I don't have one specific particular type of diet, because what paleo might work for somebody might not work for, somebody who's like like somebody who's a vegetarian is going to eat very differently than a meat eater. So we're going to have to, work on plant-based proteins, for somebody who's a vegetarian, and it's going to just work very differently than somebody who, and I don't necessarily, a lot of bodybuilders and, like an endurance athlete, okay? I'm not going to prescribe high amounts of protein for an endurance athlete, because an endurance athlete needs high carbs. They still have to maintain a lean body mass, but they're going to have more carbs in their diet than they will protein. They're still going to be super lean and super tight, but their diet is going to be different than, say, somebody who is a working mom who works in an office, and doesn't have to, run a marathon.
Right.
She's not going to need as many carbohydrates. She might be able to do something with a little higher protein to burn the fat. It's specifically tailored to each individual person. So what works for some doesn't necessarily work for all.
And, kind of piggybacking off of what you just said, because I'm also a big believer in this, idea of bio-individuality, of everybody's different. How do you kind of distinguish the way that you coach men versus women? Because you were saying at the beginning that you do a lot with women's health, and women's health to me is confusing to say the least. But it's, I'm so interested in it because there's so much, it's so complicated. It's almost like a jigsaw puzzle to me to figure out, how the women's body works. It's like you've got not just obviously the blatant differences, which is, sex organs, but I mean, the hormones alone play a completely different role in how a woman's body operates.
It's different nutrition. It's understanding that women carry weight differently. We have more fat on our bodies. It's understanding the cycles. It's understanding what foods are going to work at what times of the month.
Right.
Women around their cycle are going to be retaining water. So it's under, the female body is totally different than the male body, but similar principles do apply. Less calories going in, burning more calories, you will lose weight. Men just have more muscle on their body, but, fat is fat. It's 3,500 calories. Okay, we need to burn 3,500 calories right now, whether it's through exercise or, taking some calories out of your diet, or both. A pound of fat is a pound of fat. And, we're going to add strength and resistance along with some cardio, and we're going to, attack it from that perspective. I want to say this, but I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say this. I just think that because men have more muscle mass and their metabolism is a little bit faster, it's easier for them to lose weight than it is for women, because women just naturally have more fat on their body. But
right.
But again, each individual is different because it's the psychology, it's the environment. It's very hard for people to lose weight if they don't live in a supportive environment conducive to weight loss. Like I remember when I lived at home, and I was a dancer and I needed to keep my tight fit dancer body, and I would come home from a long day of work or whatever. And when I was living with my parents, and, I'd walk into the kitchen, and right on the aisle, you'd have like cookies and donuts and crumb cakes and all this crap, and it's very, very, very tempting to have that right in front of your eyes, and a lot of people I know struggle with the break room at work. It isn't even so much, at home. Their home they may have, cleaned out their cabinets, they cleaned out their refrigerator, they got all the good stuff around, and then they go to work, and then they have the break room. And I know that's where a lot of people struggle, is that damn break room. And it's the environment. It's, really training yourself to not be tempted or not go in the break room,
Yeah.
or, tell your family, I need you to be supportive of me. Please don't have this food out on the counter because it makes me want it. And I'm really trying to not have it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was like my biggest thing when I had an office job. It was like I thought I was, and even then my diet was terrible, but I thought it was good. I would
Yeah.
go to work and it was just there was just bagels and donuts everywhere
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
Like
Hmm.
what are we
Yeah.
doing? Why is there pizza
Yeah.
here all the time? You know?
Yeah.
And then of course you have like depending on if you're like a career person, it's like, yeah, you got to go out to those happy hours. You got to go out to those
Yeah.
dinners. You got to, if you're on
Hmm.
the road, I mean, Jesus, like I was lucky. I live in New York. You live in Vegas. There's a lot of options there, but man, there are some places you go and it is a food desert and you
Yeah.
have to be mad creative to survive. Otherwise, you're eating at Outback or McDonald's every single day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
tough. I do think like women, I really, the reason I say it's a jigsaw puzzle is because like you said, like men carry more muscle. Men can be kind of a little more straightforward where it's like, look, like if you just get in the gym and do some lifting, and build some muscle, your metabolism's going to rise. You can lose some weight pretty easily. But
Yeah.
with women, you got the thyroid. And I mean, we
Yeah.
all have the thyroid, but the thyroid
Right.
in women, it's like the more that I learn about this and women's hormones, the more I'm just convinced like we are living through, I mean, a thyroid nightmare for women
Yeah.
right now because it's such a sensitive organ, especially because of the way estrogen works in a woman's body that
Hmm.
man, that thyroid, if you grew up like most American girls do, eating, high starch, high carbs, high processed food, your body
Yeah.
is your immune system is just attacking your thyroid. And I can't
Yeah.
believe the amount of women that have hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's is the big one, or something like PCOS. And you could tell them to go on the greatest diet in the world. I knew this girl, she was doing Orange Theory like 6 days a week, and she was doing the keto diet, and she could not drop a pound. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a hormone nightmare for women
Yeah.
when it comes to the body.
Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard. There's herbs out there, there's supplements out there to help support, I mean, the best thing to do if you're having problems with your thyroid or anything like that is to, see a doctor and see if, you can't get that under check. But I have spoke to multiple women who have that problem. And I feel for them. You just have to do the very best you can with your diet and with your exercise routine. That's all you can really do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, do you have any kind of like go-to herbs or go-to supplements that you find work well for you or for your clients?
Right now, I'm taking this. It's by First Form. It's called Harmony, and it's specifically for women to balance out their estrogen and their cortisol levels.
Mm.
Um, do I think it's working? I'm not sure. Uh, but
You
it's
haven't had any road rage? Is that what you're saying? That's
yeah,
how you
like
judge
it.
it?
I think it keeps me a little more balanced. Um, it's supposed to help calm the body, and it's supposed to help de-stress the body and help you not produce as much cortisol. But it's specifically geared for a woman's hormonal system. It's called First Form, and it's called Harmony. I haven't had any problems with it, and that's usually what I recommend to my clients. Um, there's like different types of teas that you could have, like PMS teas and stuff like that, that are really good. I went to the Chinese Chinatown, and I got some dry herbs. I got some chrysanthemum. That's really good. And then I also got some dry red rosebuds.
Mm.
And both of those are really good for, hormonal balances. So I would recommend getting something like that. And you have like the little wire, little T contraction that you break the flowers up, and you actually put the dried flowers into the little metal ball, and you close it, and then you steep that in the water, and it creates a tea.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that to be very helpful.
Wow.
I'm
I'll
all
have to
about
check
herbs.
that out. Yeah.
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 Good stuff.
I'm the crazy herb lady myself. I really dig it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been using reishi mushroom lately.
Me
Eh,
too. Yep, me too.
Yeah.
I've been using the one that has the cordyceps in it,
Okay.
and there's actually it's called
Four
four something
sigmatic.
or other. Yes, that's it.
Yep.
That's it. I've actually they have a lovely sample selection on the shelf, and I have pulled probably one of each, and there's probably about 10 different ones with reishi mushroom and a different type of herb. One has lion's mane. That's for focus, I believe. The cordyceps are really good for stamina. One has chaga and cordyceps in it. That's a coffee one. But yeah, I've really been into the mushrooms lately. They
Yeah.
definitely make me feel good.
Yeah. I gotta say, you probably just sold a lot of Four Sigmatic, and we're not even sponsored by them. Son of a bitch.
Right?
I gotta contact somebody over there now.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, that's really good stuff. I gotta say, this has been a very enlightening interview for me. Definitely have learned a
Oh,
lot.
thank you.
I always love to just chat about, health with other, health coaches, and just kind of, get ideas. And obviously our conversation will be heard by millions of people all around the world. It'll be translated into 78 different languages. And, little
Awesome.
kids in Bangladesh will hear this, and they're going to start getting their shit together.
I love
But
it.
yeah, but in all honesty, like I definitely, appreciate anybody who's in this world trying to help people using health concepts, and using and helping people just kind of get better calorie by calorie, or little by little, because really it's like you said, years ago we didn't have this kind of education, and now there's people like
Right.
you and me who are out here trying to help people. And man, we all know it's like, if you got your health together, life is a lot easier.
100%.
So any parting words, anywhere that the a-holes out there can find you on the internet, social media? If you got anything you'd like them to check out, help them have them follow you anywhere.
If you want to follow me on my Instagram, it's Amy_Zeal, Zeal. And that's really it. I just want to say, Eric, thank you so much. This was such a wonderful interview. I had a wonderful time. It's been awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Amy, and hope to have you back sometime soon.
Thank you.